Okay, hello everyone, Meanspeed here with another video. Today I'm going to be doing a tier list for all the maps in Battlefield Heroes. So again, obviously this is going to be my opinion. This is going to be very much one of those things where you may not agree with what I'm going to say. Obviously the maps, you could really look at a lot of things. I mean, you could look at, I guess, just how my games have gone in general on certain maps. You know, the classes that I've played the most, stuff like that. Obviously game modes affecting some maps more than others. Just things like that, basically. So I'm just going to go over, I guess, the maps in terms of, you know, how they look and stuff like that, but also how I've played on them and what I think of certain areas and stuff like that. Just, I guess, a general sort of overview if I can. But, yeah, I'm not going to try and, like, go over all of them for too long, because the last video went on for a while, but now I've said that, it's probably going to be the same thing. Just thought this is another kind of interesting topic, and again, you know, a lot of people will have different thoughts on this. I'm just going to say from the very start, it's going to be very obvious here that I'm someone who prefers infantry maps. I'm not really a massive vehicle map player or person who enjoys them too much, but there are going to be some here that I'll put pretty high, because I'm not like against all of them. It's just, it's more so like I'm more on the infantry side than the vehicle side. So yeah, I just want to make that clear, but it's going to be obvious anyway. So Victory Village, I'm going to put that in S tier. This is probably my favourite map. If it's not my favourite map, it's like a close second with a map that's actually not on here. Well, it is on here, but it's a different version of it, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to, by the way, I just should have said this at the start, really. I'm not going to do, like, I guess, custom maps. I'm just trying to cover, like, official maps from the game here, from the old game. You know, so I'm not going to be going over, like, you know, stuff that wasn't released fully, stuff that wasn't finished, or stuff that's been made by, you know, people more recently, I guess. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cover like the original maps, the official maps, that kind of thing. And I don't think it's kind of worth it to go over something like a day version of a map and count that as something new. But yeah, anyway, so Victory Village, probably my favourite map. If it's not, it's a close second. Yeah, I've had a lot of games on this map. Really enjoy it. Really great for infantry combat. There's a lot of interesting and unique spots on the map. The church is nice, obviously. You know, fighting around roadblock, trying to capture roadblock and get there first. You know, when you first start the round and everything, trying to get the jeep there first to get that flag. Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of other unique spots. It is mostly going to be infantry based, obviously. There's only jeeps available, and yeah, I've had a lot of cool and interesting rounds on this map. A lot of cool places to fight, like I just said, around as well the church area, and yeah, in general, just a lot of corridors and a lot of houses, obviously. So it's going to be, you know, there are moments where you do get blasted into stuff, and you can, if you're a gunner, you know, use a tank buster to get yourself onto a lot of rooftops and stuff. But yeah, overall, I've had a lot of cool experiences on this map. And I think a lot of people would place this pretty highly. I do know that it was a very popular map, and it still is. And yeah, a lot of people, I would say, who were more into team play would be enjoying this as well. But yeah, a lot of interesting spots, and I do think there's something on this map for all the classes, really. Obviously, it is mostly going to be more so for soldiers and gunners because of the two things I just mentioned there. With like the environment and stuff, but I think commandos can still have some good moments. Obviously, there are some far, like, sort of wide, sort of straight paths and other sections like that. And obviously, there's the mountain as well. Like the National Mountain is, I guess, a decent spot for a sniper as well. And yeah, some games you might see people on the church as well. So I do think there's a lot of interesting spots on the map. But for me, mostly, I mean, you could say this is, I guess, very nostalgia based, because yeah, I've just obviously played so many rounds on it over the years, and yeah, it's always going to be a map that I place pretty highly. But for me, it's got to be at the top here. And yeah, I also, if we're going to talk about, you know, how the map looks, I like the style of it. I do like, you know, obviously Battlefield Heroes, especially the original maps. A lot of the different, I guess, landmarks and maps themselves are, you know, based on different countries and parts of Europe and stuff, and I do think it does look pretty nice. Okay, Alpine Assault. I was debating with this one, but I'm going to put it in B tier, I think. And again, I'm going to probably come across as maybe having some like counter-intuitive things here, because Alpine Assault, I don't really enjoy it that much when you're doing like the team deathmatch mode, but I think when you're doing like the Hero of the Hill game mode, that actually makes it a bit more interesting for me, because obviously some parts of the map, I guess, that aren't really a big focus to begin with sort of get filtered out, and you're fighting around what I'd consider to be the two main points anyway, which are the watermill, and you've got obviously the area higher up opposite that as well. But yeah, I do think this is a cool looking map. Obviously the waterfall's cool, and all the other stuff is pretty nice too. And it's honestly not, I guess, that offensive to me for a vehicle map, because it's not that big really for a vehicle map. I actually always thought it might have been, I guess, kind of cool to put planes on it, but at the same time, yeah, it's probably not big enough for that. But yeah, I think, again, the map looks pretty cool. Haven't played it too much, especially lately. Again, it depends on like servers and what people want to run and stuff. But yeah, overall, it's mostly been a positive experience. I mean, I think generally for this map, snipers, again, are going to have a good chance. There are a lot of decent sniping points, lots of hills and higher up areas. And yeah, but overall, I do think this map's pretty decent. And yeah, I wouldn't put it much higher than this, but for a vehicle map, for me, I'd say B tier is pretty good. Okay, Buckingham Bay. I'm going to put that in A tier. The reason for that is because, again, I think the map looks really cool. It's got a nice feel to it. And again, this is one of the more popular maps, one of the, I guess, main maps that people would associate with the game. And I have had a lot of fun on the map, honestly. A lot of cool areas. The shipwreck obviously stands out. And yeah, just also a lot of moments here where it's like, you know, you're fighting at the shipwreck or the town and stuff like that. And there are sort of, I guess, good moments for all the classes again. You know, spots that suit more, you know, some classes more than others, and depend on where you are and stuff. But yeah, I think you can get a good mix of infantry and vehicle combat on this map. Yeah, so I do enjoy Buckingham Bay, and in terms of the you know, the other game modes, Hero of the Hill, you know, that can be interesting as well. I think obviously tanks on that kind of mode, it does get a bit hectic as well, especially near the shipwreck rocket. But yeah, I do still enjoy it, and again, that's like, you know, two of the areas where I'd be playing the most anyway. That's where the rockets were placed for that, so I do think that was pretty cool. Yeah, and again, you know, the whole look of it, the whole beach theme and everything, it does look pretty nice. Yeah, so I think a lot of people, even if they don't like vehicle maps, would probably still say this is like, you know, more of a classic one, and most people probably would like it. And obviously, just because it's such an old map, I have, you know, happened to have come across it many times anyway when I've played. Okay, Coastal Clash. Again, I've said before, like, I want to try and put stuff, I guess, evenly. I was debating Coastal Clash because it is a cool map. I do like it. Both like Hero of the Hill and also Team Deathmatch. I do think it can be pretty campy at times. You know, a lot of people do like to camp on the higher up areas. Again, you know, windmill not so much, but if you've got like, you know, directly opposite it, lookout, you have a lot of people who are just going to stay there for a lot of the time, and it can be irritating sometimes depending on how the game's going. But I do still like the map, played it a lot, do still enjoy it. And again, obviously, just, you know, one of those infantry maps that I think is a decent size. Definitely calls for having jeeps on it and stuff. And the windmill's cool. Again, you know, it's nice that, you know, all of the maps in BFH have like a main sort of focus or landmark. And yeah, Coastal Clash, again, you know, lots of areas. If you can get onto the windmill, which is obviously possible, not an awful spot for sniping until you do get found. But yeah, and there are, you know, a few houses you can get on if you wanted to snipe. And also soldiers, like I said, and commandos, good for good spots for camping and stuff. And as well, gunners, you know, do have some okay moments on the map too. Okay, Fortress Frenzy, I'm going to put that in C tier because it's weird because when this map first came out, I was really hyped for it and everything. And I do like the overall look and the medieval theme and everything like that. It does look pretty cool. The castle's really nice. That's a really unique sort of landmark. You know, and you can do a lot of fighting on there, which is probably one of the main sort of areas and the main selling points. But again, this is kind of subjective, like I said. But a lot of the games I've played of Fortress Frenzy were pretty unbalanced to the point where it's like, you know, there's only 3 flags, obviously, which is kind of a shame. I mean, some of these maps with less flags I'm going to like more than this. So again, it's like, I don't know, kind of going against myself. But yeah, I feel like it's maybe too easy to capture them so quickly, because with a Jeep, it really doesn't take a lot of time to get from, you know, from flag to flag. Yeah, so if you have one of those games where the enemy team is just going to cap the flags too quickly, it can get pretty irritating and boring, especially because it does take a while, unless you've got a Jeep, obviously, to get back into the fight and stuff. But yeah, I think there are a lot of games and examples I can think of where, you know, the enemy team have all the flags and you're at the back base, and yeah, it's kind of difficult sometimes to get out of that situation. But yeah, again, you could really put this point across for all of these maps almost, and say that it depends how the game goes. You know, it depends on the balance. So yeah, but I think I'll just put it there for now. But yeah, again, I've said before, it's really hard for me to sort of judge some of these. Speaking of balance, I'm going to put Inland Invasion in D tier. The reason for that, first of all, I got to say, I really did enjoy the update that this came with in 2012. Obviously, they were trying to do like a veteran heroes kind of update, trying to go back, I guess, to some of the old outfits and old weapons and stuff. And I think overall the update was pretty cool. And obviously, this map is quite unique because it has boats, which is really nice. Obviously, this is like how they got introduced to the game and stuff as well. But yeah, I feel like it's a really strange map because you obviously start out in the boats as the Royals. The night version of the map is basically reversed, so the Nationals will start out in the boats. So basically, yeah, it's very unique. I will give it that. It's different, you know, to everything else on this list, because essentially what happens is you will spawn. You know, the Royals will spawn in the boats. Your goal is to then get onto the island, storm up the top there where you've got those like watchtower looking areas, and then start capturing the flags. But the main thing is you have to do it step by step. You have to capture them like in stages, and then the map will sort of open itself up, and then more flags will be available to be captured. So I do like that idea, and I've played games before where you have that sort of huge map and you've got to go from point to point. I think that was really cool to add in. But from Battlefield Heroes, from that perspective, from what I've seen, it's just not really that well balanced. Normally, from my experience, the Royals rarely captured more than a couple of flags, and the Nationals had like a pretty big advantage from the get-go, you know, having all that sort of that high ground to begin with. So yeah, just coming, you know, out of the boats and trying to get up there to the higher areas, it was pretty difficult, especially if there were like multiple snipers. And you could really make that argument for a lot of vehicle maps that, you know, snipers can make things a problem when you're trying to get across, you know, a large open spot, for example. But yeah, I just overall have had some really unbalanced and sort of negative experiences on this map, even though I do really like it. And I could probably make this point for a lot of these maps that I've put lower. In unranked games, I've had a lot of fun because obviously in unranked, it's like, at least from my perspective, it was mostly like you just had fun, you just messed around, you didn't really play the objective so much, and you could explore a bit more. So that's how I got to see most of this map, to be honest, not from actually playing proper games, but from actually just messing around with friends. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I think it was very difficult to get a long-lasting game on Inland Invasion where you were actually going to advance too much. So yeah, I do think it was a cool idea, but from my experiences, you know, it was just kind of didn't work too well. Okay, Lunar Landing, I'm going to put that in C tier. So again, this was for me a pretty interesting update with what was introduced. And again, like with Inland Invasion, they were trying something new here. So obviously because of the, you know, the anti-gravity mechanics and stuff, they obviously did do something different. Again, this is very unique. There's no other map that does this. But yeah, I think it's it's kind of a, you know, a positive and a negative in that regard. You know, you don't have parachutes, you don't take full damage and stuff like that, which makes sense. But again, like, you do fall quite slowly when you're in the air, and it makes you a very easy target for snipers. And primarily, like, the main focus of this map, like at launch, was like a capture the flag perspective. And yeah, I kind of thought maybe the map was too small for that kind of game mode, because it was very easy just to capture 3 flags pretty quickly. And you could go pretty far across the map with those mechanics, and also including abilities and stuff anyway to get over to each spot, each base. Yeah, and I just thought maybe some of the mechanics were a bit too clunky for BFH. Again, you could maybe put that down to the engine, other mechanics and stuff like that, what they had to work with. But overall, I do think it's a really cool, unique map. Looks awesome, you know, I like the theme and everything, it's pretty cool. And to see the earth in the background like that's pretty nice too. But yeah, honestly, it was just, for me, just kind of just there. It wasn't too amazing, it wasn't too awful. Again, one of those maps that I had a lot of fun with in an unranked setting, but when you're actually trying to play a proper game, it didn't really always work out that well. But yeah, I've definitely got to give it like points for originality, because there aren't any other maps in BFH that have this sort of system. Yeah, so pretty cool. Okay, Midnight Mayhem. I think I'm going to put that in B tier. I was kind of debating whether to put it higher, because I've had a lot of cool games on this map. Have enjoyed it a lot, but again, it's one of those maps where I do think it's pretty well suited for Hero of the Hill. I think it was, you know, an appropriate map to have to you know, introduce that game mode for. But yeah, I do think there are some problems here and there. Snipers can be pretty dominant, depending on, you know, certain balconies and other areas they can get to. Not so much cover. Obviously, you could argue you can use the rocket for a lot of cover as well when you're trying to go for it. There are some walls here and there, but it's not always that amazing. Yeah, and again, that can get pretty campy as well. And a lot of areas were, you know, kind of infamous for being like wall glitching spots and stuff like that. So it was, I don't know, it was an experience that could have been made a lot better. Again, though, you could put this down to, you know, bugs in the game, glitches, you know, how certain people would play and stuff like that, and game balance in general. But yeah, in terms of the map itself, you know, I like the look, I like the ruins, and the fact that obviously, you know, the map is just meant to be at night and everything. That was, you know, the whole selling point and stuff. But yeah, you know, kind of cool. I wouldn't put it any higher because of what I've just said there, with some of the issues with, you know, those mechanics and certain spots. But I do think overall the map looks cool, and I have enjoyed you know, playing on it as well from time to time. Also, I gotta say, Morning Mayhem, I said I wouldn't really talk too much about the day and night versions, but Morning Mayhem was kind of different, because it was like taking this map and changing it, because obviously Midnight Mayhem was just known for Hero of the Hill initially. But obviously, when they introduced Morning Mayhem, that was like a team deathmatch version. And it was kind of interesting, because you didn't have any flags to capture. It was just kind of like, you know, or like no objective in the middle. It was just like a team deathmatch setting. So that was kind of interesting. Just thought I'd point that out. But I didn't really want to put, you know, a new category just for that. But yeah, I just thought kind of worth mentioning. I did think it was cool they did that as well. Okay, Perilous Port. I'm going to put that in S tier, definitely. This is probably my favourite map, or tied with Victory Village. Like I was saying at the start, like, it's one or the other for these two. Like, you know, either one could pass for my favourite here. Had a lot of fun games on Perilous Port. It's one of those maps that's very infantry focused. There aren't any vehicles at all on this map. It's, yeah, definitely for someone who enjoys like a close range combat option. Definitely had a lot of fun playing Gunner on this map, but there are a lot of options still for other classes, don't get me wrong. I think the boat's pretty cool, and yeah, my preferred version of this was the day version. I don't know why. I guess it was just maybe because back then we had like the capture the flag on it and stuff, so games sort of went on for longer and that kind of thing. But yeah, maybe just I guess I like the look as well. But yeah, pretty cool map. if you enjoy, you know, playing gunner and stuff, I'd say this is a map worth looking into. If you're really anti-vehicle, it's probably one of the best maps for you because, you know, no vehicles, obviously, in that regard. Midnight Mayhem's pretty good for you as well. But yeah, definitely had a lot of fun on this map over the years, trying out different, you know, close range setups with shotguns and machine guns and just a lot of other stuff in general. But I can definitely see why some people might not like it because it is a pretty small map. I don't want to say commandos are useless because I think, you know, knifers can be useful, can do some good damage in certain spots, certain like small alleyways and stuff like that. And obviously troop traps have some, you know, potential as well. But sniping, yeah, it can be a problem maybe. There are like a lot of houses that can get in your way, and that mountain in particular, like on the national base, you're not always going to be able to see too much of the action. So yeah, I don't know, it depends on how you play again. Okay, Riverside Rush, I think I'm going to put this in B tier. Just because, again, like, I know I've said I do prefer infantry maps, but this one for me, again, it's like I just haven't had too many amazing experiences on it. In my experience, you don't really get a lot of people fighting in that sort of, like, those trench areas. It's mostly going to be, like, again, a very sort of camping based experience. It might be different for you. If it is, great. You might put this higher. I do think the map looks cool. It's got a nice feel to it. I do like the color scheme and everything. Yeah, and the kind of sunset vibe. But yeah, I do think, even though there are some interesting moments on it that you can have, I guess maybe overall probably not too interesting compared to some of the others because there's not too many areas that stand out like as a landmark or whatever. You've got a couple of like houses that are, I guess, you know, houses with archways and stuff, and there is the toll house, but yeah, not too many areas that stand out. But yeah, I think again it depends on how you play and you know, what class you're using and stuff. But for me personally, for what I've used the most, yeah, I've had some okay games here and there, but it's mostly been like as a long range play style. And for me personally, I'd prefer, you know, less of a campy sort of option for maps. So that's why I'm not going to put it any higher. But again, I do still think it's pretty nice. It's a pretty nice map. And if you can get some team play going and trying to like rush in and stuff, yeah, it could be more enjoyable, definitely. And I wouldn't put it any lower than this. Okay, Seaside Skirmish. I'm going to put this in D tier. I know this is like pretty much like the original map in the game. This was like where like the first testing took place and stuff like that. And where the tutorial of BFH was actually on this map as well. So it's got a lot of history, obviously, but I'm just really not a big fan of it. And when I say tutorial, I also mean the demo. The demo of the game was also on this map. But yeah, I'm just not a big fan of it. I always was of the belief, and this is going to sound counterintuitive because of another map that I'm going to put later on here, but I always thought Seaside Skirmish was way too big for BFH. You know, 8v8 isn't huge, especially when you compare it to other Battlefield games. You know, that's not a lot of players in general. So I do think in that regard, the map is probably a bit too big. There are a lot of areas that seem like a waste. But again, Hero of the Hill, for that mode, I do think it makes it a lot more playable, a lot more enjoyable. I do think maybe I'd enjoy it more if it was more focused on those to begin with. Again, maybe counterintuitive, but yeah, there are some pretty good spots on the map for snipers, especially the lighthouse is a pretty cool landmark, I'll give it that. And it can be a good spot for people, especially, you know, starting players. That's probably one of the main sort of interests for people that start out as a sniper. That's like one of the main choices you'd go, you know, one of your go-tos, I guess. But yeah, I don't really like it too much. That's mostly just me, though. I do think it's too big, but you could argue that the vehicles are going to negate that somewhat. But yeah, for me, it's still not that cool. Again, it's always going to be like the original map and everything. It's always going to have that going for it. But I've never really had too many great games on it. Never really enjoyed myself too much playing on it. Even from the unranked side of things, like probably the most interesting stuff I've seen was like around Lighthouse and on the beach underneath it and stuff. But yeah, like I said, can be changed. You know, my opinion can be changed on it. You know, when you see Here of the Hill, also, you know, Team Elimination, that infamous game mode, you know, was actually kind of interesting for it as well. Made you focus on, you know, the village and the lighthouse instead of the other spots on the map and stuff. But yeah, I think again it depends like how you play and if you like to use vehicles. I'm not really a huge vehicle fan, so again, that's why it's another reason why it's so low for me. But yeah, you know, I maybe my opinion will change eventually, but never really had a lot of fun on it. But I do appreciate it, and obviously, it's always, like I said, gonna be a nostalgic thing for people. Okay, Sunset Showdown. I'm gonna put that in C tier. Basically, just because I mean, I'm not gonna put it at the very bottom because I do think, even though again it's a pretty big map, I do think I've had better games on this. And I prefer the rocket mode on this as well. Obviously, you just got the one rocket by the church in the middle of the map. And yeah, I've just had, I guess, more fun in general on it than the other two I've put lower down. I obviously like the look of it as well. That is my sort of, like a colour scheme I like and everything. I like the feel to it as well. But yeah, I do think, you know, again, it's like kind of copying Victory Village because it's another church and stuff. But that's an interesting spot for some people, snipers, especially. And the bit underneath the church and surrounding where the rocket would be, for example, or just the flag on the team on Team Deathmatch. Yeah, I think that's going to be the main spot for people. That's where I did most of my, I guess, gameplay and stuff, where I played the most. But yeah, I do think, again, it's like, I can't really say much more, guys. I mean, I'm not someone who likes vehicle maps too much. The main reason this is up here and not at the very bottom is because I like the look of it. And again, I do feel like that game mode gives it a bit more fun for me. But I have, even on the regular game modes and what it was originally on, enjoyed it more than the other two anyway. So yeah. Okay, so Wicked Wake. Going to surprise some people, actually. I'm going to put that in A tier. Because this is also a pretty huge map. Again, I do like the map a lot. I do like the look of it. I do like the theme and the vibe and everything. You know, the island. Obviously, this was, you know, this is Wake Island, essentially taken from previous games in the Battlefield franchise and stuff. So in terms of like originality, it's not really, you know, this is basically something you can play in other Battlefield games. But I do like the look of it still, and I have enjoyed playing on it. There are quite a lot of flags on the map, and yeah, I do think, again, like I've said about Fortress Frenzy, and you could apply this to certain other maps as well. If you get into a spot where the enemy team has taken all the flags, it's really problematic because you're just trying to get out of your starting island in a plane, because that makes the most sense. If you can't get into the air, if you can't get high enough, or you know you're not quick enough, something like that, you're just going to get gunned down by the AA guns pretty easily. You know, people obviously being in your own starting flag area using those, which can be annoying, but generally, in my experience, that hasn't happened too much, and I've been able to enjoy most of the map for what it is. Mostly had a lot of fun and enjoyed like the beach and the airfield areas. Again, that's more of like a, I guess, infantry focus. You're not going to be having too many problems with planes and stuff like that. And not a whole lot of room for tanks, especially for some areas there. Yeah, but I don't know. Let's try and arrange these maybe. This is a really subjective thing. I think with abilities, like I did last time, there's obvious stuff there that's, you know, a definite. You know, there's stuff there that's the case for everyone, like, you know, how the abilities work, cooldown times and all that, how you're supposed to use stuff. Maps are very much opinion based, more so. So yeah, again, it depends how you've played. It depends what classes you enjoy more. Obviously, I've used gunner the most. So some of these maps that are lower down, you could say are more commando based or sniper based, for example. And not that I don't enjoy sniping, I just haven't done it a lot compared to everything else in the game. So yeah, like infantry maps are definitely my sort of thing. And again, I don't really enjoy using vehicles too much. that's not my sort of style. So I'm mostly looking at it from the infantry perspective, you know, the on foot, playing as the character, not the, you know, playing in the vehicle type thing. And again, if you like tanks, there are some maps here that are great for tanks. Sunset Showdown, Seaside Skirmish, you know, very sort of tank heavy sometimes. Again, it depends how you play, what you enjoy. But yeah, I do think obviously maps are a big part of the game. So I did think this was something worth doing a tier list for. But yeah, let me know what you think. Obviously, I think this is probably going to be a bit more, I guess, varied for people's opinions compared to the abilities, because again, maps are just so subjective. And I've mostly gone off, you know, what I like personally, and what, you know, the themes and stuff, and how I've played depending on the class, but also how games have gone, you know, in balance and stuff. So my opinions on some of these maps that are lower down might not be, I guess, so harsh, depending on, I guess, some of the games I've played. I don't know, but yeah, you obviously, you know, you might have a lot of different opinions here, you know, compared to mine. But yeah, that's totally fine. This is what this is kind of about, you know, just seeing what other people think and just sort of, you know, giving your opinion. So yeah, that's what I think about the maps. Hopefully this was okay. Again, it's kind of difficult sometimes to judge these and to place things in certain spots. But I think for me, looking at these now, this is probably, I guess, accurate enough. Definitely, like, you know, Victory Village, Perilous Port were the very easy choices for me. Some vehicle maps, I always knew I was going to put this low down. Others maybe not. But yeah, I think for me, this is one that makes the most sense for now. But yeah, so that was it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.